Yeah, I'm Jessie Johnson, and I am a mom. I am a full-time working mom. Just kind of the normal house, kids, career, trying to balance it all, but having fun at the same time. So,
Awesome. Mom and worker full time. You did the program, obviously. Where were you mentally and physically before you started the 12-week program?
yeah, so I started having kids 7 years ago, and my working out just went out the door after my first baby. And then I had another one, and then COVID hit, and so my lifestyle certainly was not healthy at all. So not only was I not working out, just my eating habits were pretty terrible at that point. And so mentally just having a really hard time. I just didn't feel like myself. My depression was really bad. I physically didn't feel like myself. And so, I knew something kind of needed to change after
Yeah,
the first of the year.
yeah,
So,
yeah, absolutely. And when you got to that point, you're like, I know something needs to change, and you're like, oh, Dylan hit me up about this program. What were some of your objections uh, before starting a program like this?
I think one of my struggles, I would begin, I was an athlete in college, so I knew what to do as far as nutrition and working out. And I would start something and I would get burned out within a month. And so I just wouldn't continue. And so, when you approached me for this program, I knew I needed accountability. I was nervous about it because it was like, oh gosh, I'm gonna like really be vulnerable in front of our coach and seeing people in Zoom classes. And it's hard as an ex-athlete, right, to be super out of shape and show that in a public setting. But I think, again, when you talk to me about the program, and really the pros of it, and how much easier it was to incorporate into my life than I anticipated. It was kind of like, all right, I'm going to do this. So,
Cool. Awesome. And so I know we kind of like were chatting about I was like, you did so great on the program, da da da. And you're like, it was like so worth it, but it was really hard. What parts did you find hard? What parts did you find easy?
I think that the Zoom, being able to pick a time and do it at home was the best part of the program. And, whether it was, okay, I'm going to have to work late tonight, or we've got something to do with the kids, I can work out in the morning and have that option. Or some days I was working from home, so I could fit in an hour here, an hour there. So I think that part was certainly the easiest part, as well as the directions. Ambra certainly laid everything out, makes it really easy step by step to follow. The hard part is the mental game, right? Like you get into it, you're doing it for like 3 weeks, you're like, yeah, I got this. And kind of that 3 week mark, you're like, I don't want to fucking do this anymore. um, but having Ambra like, all right, come on, you can do this. Like, I get it, I hear you, but let's keep going. And so I think having just the accountability part was so helpful.
Yeah.
Um, and to help you push through when you're hitting those mental walls, either nutrition wise or working out wise.
Right. Yeah. A lot, two things typically happen. One is like, when you're a new program, you're kind of in honeymoon phase. Everything's new, it's exciting, right? And that wears off. Sometimes people, it's like 2 weeks in, some people it's 3 months in, whatever it is. The other thing that happens is you're starting with motivation, right? And then
Yeah.
the part where it segues into habit, right? And you're like, you're in like this weird phase in between. And you're like, you know what? I don't know if I want to do this anymore, and that's when the habits really start setting in. So it's very interesting that you had that experience so early. Um, what do you feel like? I mean, I guess I want to kind of backtrack a little bit. Before this program, you said you started a couple things and got burnt out a month. What did you try in the past? Nutrition, training, any coaching stuff, aside from your athletic career?
Yeah, I think just kind of going back, I never had a coach. I would always do it, just myself. And, I would either kind of go back. I was a rower in college, so go back to sort of some programs, training programs that I would do then, or nutrition wise, kind of going on the fads of paleo, or just trying different sort of nutritional things that were coming up in social media and whatnot.
Right.
And that was definitely before I kind of got the concept of what you were saying, motivation versus discipline, right? Where it's like motivation doesn't last. And kids and my career and stresses and all of the above, it's like that's the first thing to go. Like your personal self-care is the first thing to go when all of the other stresses in life kind of take over.
Yeah, absolutely. And so you did paleo, did a couple other like fad things. How did those work temporarily and then kind of just stop working?
Yeah, temporarily, for sure. I would lose some weight, but it would come right back once you kind of get off of it a little bit or
Right.
whatnot.
Right. Absolutely. Okay. Got it. And so what were you, I mean, you kind of described it, but maybe you can go into a little more detail. What do you feel like you were struggling the most with, or what were your struggles prior to joining this program?
Really putting myself as a priority. I think as a mom, of course, like your kids are number one. And then having the added pressure of really trying to build your career. And, I was definitely, because of COVID, work was incredibly stressful, trying to keep your business afloat, trying to think outside the box, working extra hard, making sure that your employees have jobs. So it really weighs on you. And, the first thing to go is your own self-care. And that was certainly the case with me. It was everything else is more important. I need to get that done all when I have a moment, which was not feasible. I'll, do some self-care for myself. And, I never made myself a priority.
100%. Yeah. When you have like a quote unquote moment, right? It's like, well,
Yeah.
um, let's be honest with as mom, like you just like, you never have a moment, right? It's just like, it's,
What's that?
yeah, right. It's a moment. So what were your exact results, in a 12-week, metabolic mama method with us?
Yeah. So I've lost 13 pounds. But I think the biggest part is I've lost two pant sizes. And just the strength. I think the perfect example, being strong again, feeling good. I went to, I was on the crew team in college. There was an alumni regatta 2 weeks ago. And so Amber and I were kind of figuring out ways that I could train to get back in the boat and row. And the last 10 years, anytime I'd gone to an alumni regatta, it was a struggle, right? Like I'm in there, I'm not in shape, I'm going through the motions, I'm kind of wanting to die because I'm just so out of shape, right? But I'm doing it because,
Yeah.
it's my old team. And this was the first time in 10 years that I felt strong. We were doing races against some of the current crew team and my boat with some of my old crew teammates. We were winning. We were like, come on, let's go again. My form was good because I actually was in shape. I mean, it was one of the most magical experiences that I've had in a long time, just to feel strong and healthy and that I could participate in a meaningful way. And I think that was the highlight. And it was perfect timing. It was right at like week 11 of the program. So it really kind of showed like how much improvement happened in that period of time.
Heck yeah, that's so cool. And like just to go back and because all these years you've been going back and doing this, it's kind of been like a struggle. now to go back and be able to compete again, really, and like actually dominate, that must have been pretty freaking cool.
It was so awesome. I think my friend Kyla and Nicole and I mean, we were on cloud nine all day. Like we couldn't stop smiling. It was just one of the most amazing feelings.
That's awesome. And how does it feel to like prioritize yourself in this way? Because before that was the struggle, right? It was like really putting yourself first. And now that you are with your health, how does that feel like? What's that like for you now?
I mean, there's certainly still a struggle, right? Like, I mean, I think that that never goes away, especially when you have two small kids who aren't very self-sufficient yet. Um, but I think that really understanding the importance of it now, just mental health wise, physical health wise, like I want to be there, you know, in 20 years for my kids
Yeah.
in a mindful way, like participating. And I think, you know, even my husband was like, I've noticed a really big difference with you just mentally and feeling happy and whatnot since you've started this. So I think that was another good reminder is, um, you know, you have it, right? It's like that cliche, you have to fill up your own tank before you're able to help others. And I think that the last couple of months have really emphasized that for me. And again, even though that guilt is still there because it's just not ever going to go away, I think prioritizing myself kind of has shown me the importance to also show my kids that, right? Like, you need to prioritize yourself. I need to prioritize myself. And hopefully they'll, you know, take that away when they're older.
Daughter is
No,
so
it's okay.
hard.
Story of my life.
I know, right? And yeah, so like you're saying, the guilt really never goes away, or that feeling of like I should be doing something for them right now. But it seems like you're able to kind of almost remove yourself from that situation, look at a big picture, and that okay, I'm actually doing something myself that's going to help them in the long run.
Yeah.
It's cool. I love
It's
that.
also fun too. My kids love to kind of sneak their head in when I'm doing one of the Zoom classes, and they'll kind of be on the side and they start doing the exercises too. And so it's kind of cool, like having them also grow up with this understanding of how important health and fitness is. And you know, my husband is a big time runner. And so he's always demonstrated that since they were little, and I just haven't had the opportunity to. So I'm really glad to kind of get that as like a family value for all of us, that this is a really important thing to make sure that we're all maintaining.
That's so cool. And that the kids are actually almost they're doing it on the side, but almost joining in. It's not like
Yeah.
it's something that you guys are almost doing together.
Yeah. It's really fun.
That's awesome.
They always
And
love to
so
say hi. Hi, Richie.
that's so funny. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure you've seen there's a lot of moms in the program that are, or even dads that have kids that are like in the background. It's really cool. It's fun to see. And so someone that, wants to do the program, they have the means, but they don't want to commit. What would you tell someone that's in that position?
Um, you know, I think just kind of piggybacking on all that I've said before, it's like we have to figure out ways to prioritize ourselves. And I don't know about others, but for me, I'm only one of probably three people that I know that are working moms. And so it feels really lonely, and that you don't have a lot of support, and that a lot of people don't really understand that struggle between, your career and being a mom and participating in your marriage, and oh, there's your house and groceries and cleaning and all of that that you need to do too. And I think one of the biggest things that I have really enjoyed about your program is that you really cater to my demographic, like an understanding um, that struggle of balance, and that struggle of having very limited time and resources, but still showing you ways that you can accomplish these things, whether it's your nutrition, your working out, planning ahead. I mean, I think Ambra, the first 6 weeks, was just like driving into me. You've got to plan ahead. You got to plan ahead. You got to plan your meals throughout the week. And learning how to do that has been so helpful. And I think that just the support and the understanding, and the accountability that comes with your program is just, you can't find that somewhere else.
Yeah.
And from my experience, and I'm a very A-type personality who gets a lot of stuff done. Even for me, like doing a nutrition and fitness program after being in really bad shape and in not a very good space for a long time, it's almost like you have to have that support. You need to have that accountability and somebody really just giving you all of the tools in order to accomplish it. Like, I just can't imagine um, doing what I've done in the last 12 weeks without this program.
That's so great to hear. Yeah, and I think you kind of what you were saying, yeah, being a full-time mom is really hard and it has its own, stuff, but being having all these responsibilities as a full-time worker too, that's a whole other, ball game. And just having that support, I think that's great that you had that, you had that feeling, Um, and so anything you want to add about your experience with the program? Anything you want to sign off with before we hop off here?
I mean, I was super hesitant. I was really scared. I did not want to be vulnerable in front of people that I didn't really know, and lay all of the cards on the table. But I am so thankful that I did, because I just can't imagine where I would be. I mean, it sounds so cliche, right? But I really can't imagine where I would be on my health and fitness journey without having the support of DC Fitness.
That's awesome. I love that. Thank you so much for, all your
Yeah.
trust in the program and just your investment both, time wise and financially, and just just doing what we're setting out to do and just being part of that, which is, helping moms just like you that are, working or not working or whatever it is, because being a mom's hard. It's really freaking hard. And, prioritizing yourself, putting yourself above everything. It's an innate feeling that you want to just serve everything and everyone before yourself.
Yeah.
Um, and, what we're trying to do is basically put that in there, so it's wedged already, no matter what feeling you're having, you're taking care of yourself for everyone else, so you can do that better and be a better mom, be a better human, and
Yeah.
feel confident and feel awesome. So thank you again. Really appreciate you hopping on.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm